害不断，致玉米价格创4年新高。光明乳业因正面广告暗示革命，被中共罚款30万。10月16日，大陆鄂尔多斯警方免费宣传鸡系列后删除相关通告。海南政府用文革服饰洗脑归国学子。广州花都狮岭开展大范围病毒检测，疫情难控。
我的个神了你，太可怕了，这个阵容太多了，这全部都是。
这么多螃蟹，
这个反常，反常。
10月17日，海南多地暴雨导致洪灾不断。
是这样买的吗？
兄弟更安慢，我这个要摸鱼了，不能找我了。
辽宁一小学多位学生疑似食物中毒，大陆的学生健康持续受威胁。
学生吗？家长呢？家长来了能没有吗？
对我们有关部门，好几个部门都在协调做这个事儿。现在那因为处理结果，他没有一个官方没公布，他肯定这个结果，他肯定是尽快去。
中共大量警察聚集，欲镇压反对强拆的百姓。
厉害了，厉害了，我的歌！厉害了，厉害了，我的国！
大陆民间演示文革斗气主情形，恐为中共洗脑新方式。
各位领导、各位专家、嘉宾们，大家上来！4月初秋，神灵进来，在美丽的长沙，我们迎来了2020年长沙国际高考和展论坛。在此，我谨代表 论坛组委会向大会的开幕表示热烈的祝贺，向参和会的各地专家和朋友们表示衷挚的感谢。
泰国反恐抗议游行欲改革进入核限制。美国推特因限制言论道歉后，仍屏蔽《纽约邮报》文章。中共因香港问题胁迫加拿大，引发加国热议。中共军机持续骚扰台湾，增加台海紧张气氛。
The man coughing is Xi Jinping, the president of China, the country that exported the Wuhan virus pandemic. President Xi was delivering a speech in China and he coughed a lot. What I'm about to show you are clips sliced from a 50-minute-long address of the Chinese president. Social media has analyzed this in great detail. Even though Chinese cameras tried to hide the president, they caught at least 4 bouts of cough in a matter of minutes. Take a look.
Which means we cannot master solid skills and voluntarily plan and
What you just saw is footage from a ceremony in Shenzhen.
A museum in France recently got a taste of this. The Nantes History Museum was slated to stage a Genghis Khan exhibit next year. The Inner Mongolia Museum was roped in to help. It was smooth sailing for a while before the Chinese government got directly involved. Beijing sent a list of demands, some of them outrightly bizarre. China asked the museum to not use the words Genghis Khan in the exhibit. Yes, you heard that right. A Genghis Khan exhibit that does not mention the words Genghis Khan. China also wanted the words Empire and Mongols to be dropped. The idea was to strip the exhibition of its identity, but the organizers were having none of it. They cancelled the event and made sure everyone knew who was to blame. China was trying to rewrite Mongol history and culture. The Nantes Museum episode has taught the world community a crucial lesson. Chinese censorship is not all-encompassing. If a museum can stand up to Chinese interference, why can't world powers?
A Hong Kong protester dubbed Grandma Wong has spoken out against her treatment by Chinese authorities, accusing them of stopping her from returning home for over a year. 64-year-old Alexandra Wong said on Saturday she suffered mental abuse after being kept in custody for over a month across the border in Shenzhen. Activists and human rights groups had expressed concern about her whereabouts.
I am afraid I will be stopped to come back Hong Kong. Every second I'm frightened. I scare every day. I scare to hear the phone call.
Speaking publicly for the first time since her release, Wong said she had been placed in a detention centre by Chinese police when she tried to return to her home, and also faced regular visits by national security advisors.
This deals really with Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. And it decides, are they platform or are they publisher? They've been given rights as a publisher or as a platform, but they're acting like a publisher. They're selecting what viewers can and can't see. And we really want them to update their user agreement or else they lose those protections.
What type of an update would you be looking for? I mean, the reason that protection is in place, as far as I understand it, is to, to keep out or to keep off the platforms kind of indecent material of some sort, and Twitter or Facebook could decide what that is. Now, it's getting attention, as Edward just reported the last few days, because of this New York Post story, which conservatives like yourself have said, no, wait a second, that's not indecent, that's political censorship. So where is the line, or is there one? What would you like to see happen?
We can certainly update that, but what we're seeing is they're specifically targeting conservatives, and it's been unfair for too long. And we need to make sure that stories like this, that the American people need to know about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the corruption with the Ukraine and perhaps China, need to come out. They can't censor this. You want to make sure that it's fair for all involved. And it shouldn't be about politics, but if they truly are a platform and not a publisher, then they need to let all voices have a share.
People in the United States now know the Chinese Communist Party is an existential threat to humanity. They're guilty of genocide. Over 1 million innocent people throughout this world have died because of their virus, right? Died because of their virus that came from the P4 lab in Wuhan. Whether it was a gain-of-function experiment gone awry that leaked out or part of a biological weapons program is kind of beside the point. That's for their other guilt. We know that they made this. We know that they exacerbated its travel throughout the world. And what has Joe Biden done? Because he's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. When President Trump shuts down travel, what does Biden do? He sits there and takes the Beijing line. Trump's a racist. Trump's a nativist. Come on, man. They're not a competitor. Mayor Giuliani, I'm sorry going on my diatribe, but I want to go to you. You're the expert. You put Milken away. You put Wall Street away. You put the 5 families and broke the mafias of RICO. What is the RICO investigation that we're running right now on the Biden crime family?
Of it, okay? First of all, you gotta pay attention to the title Point Man. He's appointed Point Man 4 times. Every time he's appointed Point Man, the U.S. loses and the Biden family makes millions. So watch it. This is the Biden crime family, at least a brief synopsis of it. So he's appointed Point Man in Iraq. He goes to Iraq, and he's supposed to negotiate a status of forces agreement so that we can remain in Iraq to protect our interests there. Of course, Joe, as he always does, fails in the negotiations miserably. But his brother somehow becomes a partner in a $1.5 billion housing deal. He knows nothing about housing, just like Hunter knows nothing about energy. But somehow he becomes a 1/3 partner in a $1.5 billion housing deal. That's Iraq. Ukraine, we've already talked about. He's the bag man. Hunter is the bag man. He's collecting Joe's bribe, which is somewhere between $12 and $20 million. Let's be conservative, $12 million. Some of it, the $2 million a year the firm got, some of it a laundered payment of $3.2 million that we have the document for, that went through Cyprus and Latvia. It didn't come from Russia. It came from Latvia and Cyprus. None of this came from Russia, not a single thing. And then we move on to Russia, where he got the $3.5 to $4 million from the widow of the mayor of Russia, who is a very close associate of Vladimir Putin. So all that Democratic talk about how Trump and Putin are very close, Trump never got any money from Putin. Biden did. I mean, it's ridiculous, Steve. They charge you or me or Trump with what they do, and they get the corrupt press to buy it. And the final coup de grace. I mean, the big money comes from China. We've only begun with China, and we've done 2 transactions that we've gone through in detail. One of them is a private equity firm in which China is a partner, a 1/4 partner. Who are the partners? Hunter Biden, the stepson of John Kerry, the then Secretary of State, and Whitey Bulger's nephew, James Bulger. You can't believe that, right? I mean, that's totally ridiculous. Also, you can't believe that could happen while Biden was negotiating for the United States, being criticized for being so weak. Again, America loses. He was supposed to get them out of the islands they were disputing with Japan. Instead, China reinforces the military there, raises tariffs. Joe miserably fails on his trip to China, but he brought his son along with him, the drug-addicted Hunter. And Hunter won. Even though he's drug-addicted, he got a letter about 6 days later committing $1 billion to a virtually useless private equity firm. You know from your days in finance, Steve, getting a $1 billion commitment? I mean, that's extraordinary. For a fund without a history? Impossible. And then China puts another $5 billion in. So while Joe is negotiating for the U.S. and for Japan on a highly sensitive national security matter, his son has become a partner with the government of China. So that's what I mean by America loses, the Biden family wins. And by the way, when I say his son was a partner, no. Joe Biden was a partner, because one of the texts that we have, and this is the one that I probably think is really the nail in the coffin. This is the one that makes the obvious provable. The obvious is this money's going to Joe Biden. Nobody is paying a drug addict $30 million. No Ukrainian oligarch, who's considered to be one of the most dangerous and crooked men in Ukraine, is paying useless money to a drug addict. I'm going to show you two pictures, which are two of many.
Mayor, hang on 1 second. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to turn. We'll let you go through all of it. Hashtag War and Pandemic, the live stream. It's on fire this morning. This is the CCP's ownership of Joe Biden, the Biden corruption scandal, and what Joe Biden did in looking the other way and going soft on the Chinese Communist Party when he was in charge of the pivot to Asia. We're going to return in a moment. Hashtag War and Pandemic, the live stream. We've got Jack Maxey. Eventually, in the next hour, we've got Jack Posobiec. We've got Dr. Bradley Thayer. We have Jana Bianco from the American Bond Foundation. We're spending the entire 2 hours on Joe Biden's ownership by the Chinese Communist Party. We will return with Mayor Rudy Giuliani in a moment.
所以说，我们的爆料革命是用生命，是用真情啊。我们的爆料革命的原则是什么？战友们要记住，微针不破，啊，微针不破，法律红线、道德红线绝对不能碰。那么，当今天我在这朗读这个的时候，跟大家去讲的时候，那歌是发自我们内心，绝对不是娱乐别人的，那是记载着我们用鲜血、生命换来的这个人类上前所未有的奇迹。这么大个美利坚共和国不敢挑战中共，中共杀了美国20几万人了，几百万人得了感染病毒了，没人敢说共产党病毒的啊。人类上几千万人被感染病毒了，死了上百万人了，没人敢站出来挑战中共的。只有我们爆料革命啊，微针不破，无畏无惧无私。
美国报告了超过6.9万例新增感染，这是自7月以来的单日最高新增数量。除纽约市以外，纽约州的电影院在10月23日将重新开放。欧盟和英国的新增病毒感染数已超过了美国。病毒激增之际，传染病专家警告说，今年冬天美国可能会面临实质性的第3波感染。伊朗宣布其病毒死亡人数超过了3万人。冠状病毒在美国许多社区和乡村中广泛传播，并威胁到了当地医院的救治能力。亚马逊在 Prime Day 的销售额激增45%，突破了100亿美元。欧盟最高航空监管机构批准波音737 MAX 飞机在今年可重返天宫，这使得波音股价在周五飙升。
mama? Are you okay over there? Your son is crying and missing you, and sees you in his dreams. You send take down the CCP, cause it's God's will, it's God's will. So I'll win for you, and I'll see you when we end the CCP, yeah. So